Talmor, Shishin Magachi. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Burntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I uncover the blasphemous truth of a plague-ridden world, that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The Heresies of Radolf Burntwine, coming January 2nd, wherever podcasts are available.
And then I remember when I got in there, like there was this moment where I was going to drop the line. And I remember being like you're just supposed to look at your paper. That's what everyone tells you to do. You hold the sides and you look at the paper. And there are ways to do that where it doesn't look like you're like really deeply affecting the scene. But I froze and I refused to look at the paper.
Hello world and welcome back to another episode of Thanks for Coming In. I'm your host, Jillian Clare. If this is your first time tuning in, this is the show where I speak to fellow actors about their journey and I make them share some audition stories with me. If you're not already subscribed to the show, make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us some love in the form of rates and reviews. They help us a lot, so do that. As you may have noticed, we did not have an episode last week. We are moving to bi-weekly episodes. My schedule has gotten a little crazy. I also started grad school, so it is bi-weekly here now. All right, folks, let's get to the show, shall we? Today we have Catherine Lidstone. She's a friend of mine, a fantastic actress, a fantastic person, and she's also in union service with me, so that's freaking awesome. We had a great conversation, and she is so bright, so intelligent, lovely. And I am so blessed to know her, and it was a joy to have her on this week. So here's my conversation with Catherine. And welcome to the show, my dear friend Catherine.
Hi, Jillian. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on.
I'm so stoked to have you on. I have adored getting to know you over the past couple of years. Is it years? I don't know anymore.
I think so. I could be. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure. But I'm very excited to have you on and talk to you about all things acting and union and life and fun.
Mm-hmm. Excited to be here. There's a lot of things we could talk about, certainly.
So many things. Well, the first thing I always like to ask my guests is a very important question, and it really kicks us off here, which is, why did you want to become an actor?
Oh my gosh. I thought you were going to be jokingly like, chocolate or vanilla? That would have been way easier in retrospect.
I'm sorry. Gotta go for the hard-hitting one first.
Getting in right into the soul of it. Yes.
I know.
So this is a beautiful question, and I'm sure I've told this story a million times. There are like two aspects to this story. The first I don't recall because I was a toddler, but apparently my mother tells me, and this is not someone who like encouraged me to do this with my life, but she tells me that when I was 3, I pointed at the television one day and I was like, I'm going to be in there one day. And she was like, it was a scene of a bunch of lawyers sitting around like a conference table in a boardroom meeting. And she's like, oh, you mean you want to be a lawyer and like go to a boardroom? And I was like, nope, in the TV. So that's her story. And I forgot about that. I don't remember doing any of that. But when I was 11, I heard about this thing called community theater or regional productions. And I had like a cousin who was auditioning and I was like, I want to check that out. Like, that sounds really fun. And so I just like learned a few songs. I had like learned to sing watching The Sound of Music and just like repeating what all the singers were doing. And so I just brought, I think it was The Hills Are Alive was my audition song. And I ended up getting into the vocal underscore for I think it was the Wizard of Oz, maybe.
Ooh.
And I was the youngest person by like 16 years.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't believe I was there. I was like, look at all these adults around me. But it was so much fun. And then I got to play a jitterbug, and it just sort of opened the doors. I know, for like what this whole business is. And of course, that was like the rosy glasses phase where you just think everything's amazing. And I just fell in love with it. And nobody in my family had ever done anything like that. So for us, it was always like, okay, good. You stay in school, you get great grades, you go to a great school, you get a great job, and you can do this on the side. Like, this is a fun hobby for you. So that was my MO the whole time. I was just like, this is a fun hobby. And I just remember my favorite people in the theater were like 40-something-year-olds who had families, and they were like full-time engineers or had real jobs, and they would still just come to the theater 4 days a week to rehearse and 2 days or 3 days a week to perform, just because they loved it so much. And I was like, these people are amazing. Like, how could they do all that? But yeah, I just fell in love at a very young age and went through a lot of journeys of figuring out that I could do this as a profession. Yeah.
Wow. I love that answer. That is a very solid answer. I can picture you as a tiny little toddler sitting there watching the television. It's very like Willy Wonka of you, like Mike TV being like, I need to be in the TV.
You're so right. We should do like a parody sketch of 3-year-old Catherine doing that with a cane and the chocolate in the back.
Yes, but like it should be, what's that one show where they like pretend to be children but they're full adults? Like it needs to be that.
Oh yes, that's brilliant. Oh,
that's what we need to do. We're gonna do it. Yeah. We're gonna do it.
Then I can be in it. That's perfect.
So tell me then what it was like for you figuring out that it can be a profession, because this is not something that a lot of people will actually try to follow as a profession, and those of us who do, I think, are certifiably insane. I know. I love it, but like I think we're crazy.
Yeah, every day I'm in this, I'm like, man, if I knew what this was when I got into this, there's no way I would do this.
Yeah.
Like, it's brutal. It's so brutal what we have to do every day. I think my journey was like, I'm going to go get a regular degree. I was thinking doctor, lawyer. And I went on that path, and I was like volunteering at the hospital, and I volunteered at a law firm, and nothing just like felt perfect, and it all felt fun, and I was learning a lot, and I had this, amazing biology teacher who we got to dissect like 14 animals in 1 year, and I got to see the inside of how their bodies work, and I was like, I want to be a surgeon. This is amazing. And I was like watching House at the time, so I was like, this is great. But I think what happened for me was like, I went through the real world journey, and I kept hitting walls. Like, I was very unhappy. I was stressed out in college. I was pretty much miserable. And the only thing that brought me joy was like senior year of college. I auditioned for a bunch of plays, and I got into one of them, and it was a senior thesis project. And I got to play this like beautiful role. I'm like looking at the bookshelf where I have the play, still all my notes, all my whatever. It's called Wonder of the World. It was by David Rabe. And I got to play this suicidal alcoholic woman who was like ready to throw in the towel on her marriage, on her life. And it's a raucous comedy. The whole thing is absolutely hysterical. And I just like found my wings back on stage and realized like, this is much more of what I feel like my soul is called to than anything else I've ever done. And I fortunately built relationships with my theatrical professors, and I just offered to do whatever to stay involved in their program because it was too late for me to major in it. And so they were like, well, we have this summer repertory theater company, and you can come and stage manage an understudy for us. And I was like, yes, I will do that. I will do whatever it takes to stay close to this. And that was my first job in the business. And we were learning how to run the light board. We were up in the graft, like trying to reinstall lights when they would. It was a great experience. It took you through every aspect of building a theater, and we got to perform at the Atlantic Stage 2. So it was just a fantastic experience all around. And I, it's like 17-hour days at the theater. Yep. I would work like a 6 a.m. shift at Starbucks, like in New York, serving New Yorkers their coffee in the morning. It was horrific, but
oh my
I learned
God.
a lot. And So that was sort of the bridge for me, was like, wow, people do this. They just do this. And like that job led to another job, which led to another job. And then I got a manager, and it was just, everything sort of started to piece together. And my journey kind of ended up in LA, where I just felt like, while I still felt like I could tell stories, it would be fun to tell them on camera. And, you know, LA is like a young and beautiful town. So it's like, if you don't get in young, it feels like you can't go forever. But that's not true. I know of plenty of people who have started as adults and they love doing it, and they have a really nice nest egg because they worked other jobs first. Yeah. And that's a luxury I didn't have when I got into this. But yeah, I think anything's possible. And it's really just what brings you the most joy and feels like you're fulfilling your purpose.
So true. It's like a hard pill to swallow, right? Because it's like you gotta do what fulfills you, and sometimes that thing can be very difficult and like drag you through the mud.
Yes.
And yet we're still here.
We're still here doing it. We love it so much.
Yes. Crazy again, I will say it. So LA, you said, you know, you want to be out here for theatrical work. Did you have family out here? Did you have connections out here? What did you do?
I came out here with a suitcase. I had one friend from college who was here and was like, hey, before you sign a lease in New York, I think you should just check it out. I've met a lot of artists out here. I think you would love it. And so I took the leap of faith, and I was like, I found this like insanely priced ticket. It was like a $99 ticket one way from New York to LA. And I was like, wow, it's so cheap. If I hate it, I'll just come back. And it's like tickets, I've never found a $99 ticket ever since.
So, they don't exist.
You got to call those God moments, because it's like, I wouldn't have done it otherwise. And it was so affordable. And I was like, all right, let's just do this. Let's see what's going on. And I had studied abroad in college. I went to Spain, and it was such a beautiful season of my life, where that kind of ties into back to the calling thing. Because like I was working at an NGO, and I was going to school, and I was learning Spanish and all this stuff. And I would walk by this theater every single day, and I just felt this like urge to go into this theater and be like, hi, like, can I act for you guys? And I just talked myself out of it, because I was like, what are the odds they're going to need like an English-speaking American who's learning Spanish to play some random role? Like, that's just ridiculous. So I just focused on my studies and figured out my semester. But when I got back to campus senior year, that's when I was like, I have to do this. So I'm going to talk to whoever I can and figure out how to do it. But I think when I set foot in LA, and I saw the first day in LA, because I actually landed at night, and like 4 of our friends, like these artists in the community who I hadn't even met yet, came out in the car, and like we all picked each other up together. It was crazy. Oh. And so it was just such a welcome crew. And then I got to know them. And I remember the first day in LA, I just looked around, and I was like, I found the American Spain. Like the landscape here is just so reminiscent of where I had been already. And I was like, this is like peace and freedom and joy. New York is just like, there's no privacy. You're just running around. There's all these people everywhere you go. And in LA, it was like, there was like one neighbor down the street with their dog and like palm trees and sunshine. And I was like, this is pretty good. I'll take it.
Yeah. It's a nice departure from the city streets.
Yeah. Indeed.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back.
As a podcast network, our focus is bringing you shows you love to listen to. But we also sell merch related to those shows. And partnering with Shopify has made that both possible and simple for us to do. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor adventures, Shopify helps you sell everywhere, because they've got you covered, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. What's so fantastic about Shopify is how, no matter how big you want to grow, they provide everything you need to get control of your business so you can take it to the next level. Businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/realm.
You can shop from anywhere doing pretty much anything. You might shop while working, eating, or even listening to this podcast. And however you shop, we all know and love the thrill of the hunt. But do you also know how to get the thrill of the best deals? Because Rakuten shoppers do. With Rakuten, they get the deals they love with the most savings and cash back. And you can get it too. Start getting cash back at your favorite stores like Sephora, Nike, and even Expedia if you're looking to get some travel in. And getting cash back doesn't mean you have to miss out on sales because those can just be stacked right on top. It's easy to use and based on a simple idea. Stores pay Rakuten for sending them shoppers, and Rakuten shares the money with you as cash back through PayPal or check. Download the free Rakuten app and never miss a deal. Or go to Rakuten.com to start getting the most bang for your buck. That's Rakuten.
And back to the show. So then, like, how did you start your LA career? What was the first step for you? I mean, you came out here with a suitcase. Did you cold call people?
Yeah, I had a manager in New York, and people called me crazy for leaving my manager.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but he's only gotten me like one thing in 3 months. And like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm supposed to go just exploring, and I'll figure it out. If it doesn't work, I'll come back, whatever. But I just ended up doing sort of what he was doing. He was religiously submitting me, as far as I knew, for things, but I was very green, so it was probably hard to get me meetings. And I remember the weekend I was leaving, he got me an audition for a local show. And I was like, oh, I'm leaving. Like, now you get me this epic audition. Anyway, so it was a great audition. I had a great time. That role didn't work out, but I remember that casting director was lovely. And I got to LA and I started submitting on the breakdowns. They were public free breakdowns. It was Actors Access and all these other, LA casting networks, whatever. And I just started submitting 3 times a day. I was like, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I was submitting on the breakdowns, and I would just get jobs. Like, it was a ton of non-union jobs. And I ended up meeting a great, great colleague who played my father in a staged reading for Equity. And he said to me, you know what? He just came in one day and he's like, I recommended you to my manager. And I had been working with all these other actors and artists, and like, we were all on the journey together. We were all trying to get reps. Some of them had reps. Nobody ever offered to do anything like this. And I didn't ask people because I was like, didn't want to put them in a weird spot. So this was just another God thing. Where I was like, just this guy's just like, yep, she's interested in you. And now do you want to take a meeting? And so that was my first manager. And then that kind of helped me pick higher quality jobs or more union jobs to audition for. And it just became, I don't know. It's just been like a roller coaster, it's just auditioning nonstop.
Yeah. Yeah.
For a decade. Yep.
That's
how you do it.
That's like a pretty remarkable thing that colleague did for you, though, because
I know
it's, I feel like when one actor asks another actor for, representation advice or to introduce somebody to their reps, it's like so like taboo for some reason. It's like we're all terrified of losing our representation, so we can't actually help other actors because what if like they like that person, then I'm not booking, so then they drop me because they took another person. It's just like this weird mindset that we all have, I feel like, with representation in that facet. So that's so cool that colleague was like, yo, I got you a manager.
I know. I was like, what? This is crazy. And I remember the manager took the meeting and was like, look, I think you're great and you have a lot of potential, but you need a reel, you need a tape, anything you can send me that's on camera. Yeah. I can't sign you without that. And I was like, okay. So I had just shot this short film and I was like, dude, is that footage available for that, guys? Like, can I get a copy of it? And they sent me everything and I sent it to her and she was like, okay, let's do this. So it was just like a series of amazing timing, fortunate events that, that's what I hear everybody say when they talk about like their time in the business is like all this luck that comes in. I call those blessings, but yeah, it's been an interesting ride.
Yeah, I get it. What was like the first thing that you booked as a full-time professional actor that you were like, oh man, I'm here. I know that I'm on the right path now.
Ooh, you know what? I think the first like major credit was Weeds.
Nice.
And it was just a guest star with Hunter Parrish, and a guy named Ben. I forget his last name, but I think both of us were day players. And Hunter was, we just had a great time on set. I just remember like that show was obviously so popular at the time. And I was like, this is crazy. Like I like screamed when my manager told me on the phone. And she told me at the time, or at some point around that season, she was like, you're my favorite person to tell that you have a booking, because it's like a party every single time.
Yes.
Every single time. Because everything was so new and I was fresh, and this was like so exciting. So that was probably like the first one where I was like, wow, this is like a legit show. I had to go onto a studio lot to audition for this. And that was a crazy audition story. I remember I had been in all these acting classes and everybody told me the rules and like what you have to do, what you can never do, and all these policies of how to audition. And you're trying to be a good actor, you're trying to memorize the policies and understand. But really, truly, the fact of auditioning is that you're doing it so frequently with such disparate people. Everyone has their own taste. Everyone has things that piss them off and make them happy. And you're just never going to please everybody if you try to follow these acting teachers' rules. And so that's not to slam any acting class. I think acting classes are very helpful, especially for someone like me who is so green into the business. But I just remember that audition shattered every single thing I was taught. Like I wish I wrote all this down, because there were so many lessons. I remember this was a story I used to tell people. I was like, don't worry, when you go to that audition, you just do whatever you want. And it's because like when I got there, other girls were wearing, certain size heels or whatever. And I was thinking to myself, I'm the only one wearing this size heel. But I had looked up the other actor that I was supposed to play opposite, and I was matching our heights, and I was like, well, I don't want to be taller than him or whatever. So I just remember like dressing a certain way, and then I was like, okay, I'm not going to worry about what they're wearing. I'm going to worry about what I'm doing, and it's fine. And then I remember when I got in there, like there was this moment where I was going to drop the line, and I remember being like you're just supposed to look at your paper. That's what everyone tells you to do. You hold the sides and you look at the paper. And there are ways to do that where it doesn't look like you're like really deeply affecting the scene. But I froze and I refused to look at the paper. and the line just came to me, but it took an eternity for the line to come to me. And what was amazing about it was, in the scene, there's this moment of shock where she's like basically being pretty friendly with this guy, Hunter's character, and then her boyfriend comes in and sees it and is like, what are you doing? And he is Hunter's boss. And so I think it was just a miracle that I dropped the line, because I just remember being like, that was such a long moment. And I feel like nobody would have extended it that far. Like, I think the producers were amazed and loved it. And at the very end of my audition, I was like, sorry. And they were like, what are you apologizing for? So it was like, I did everything wrong. Like I showed up there, like dropped a line, apologized for my acting, and then I booked the job. So I just think we worry about so many things that are really not important to worry about. And that was just a great, guest star credit that ended up, I'm sure, helping me get into other rooms. And it was so much fun. And they actually tried to bring me back multiple times, but I don't think the timing worked out, because that was their final season. And they only had like 2 or 3 episodes left. So I think they were trying to make it work, and they were like, ooh, what kind of fun storyline could we build here? And then they just had to focus on, what they had already been probably building before I showed up. But it was a really, really cool experience. Oh, and then I remember I got to fist bump Kevin Nealon on the way out. That was like the highlight of the whole.
Yeah. That would be good.
I just fist bumped a legend. So obviously I've made it.
I'm good. I'm going to pack up my bags. I can go home. I've accomplished what I needed to accomplish.
Yeah. Tell mom and dad I did a great thing here.
Oh, yeah, I love that. It makes me miss in-person auditions. I just...
Yeah.
I love them.
Something so special about them. I know.
I do. I like connecting with people. I like being able to ask questions. I like those moments of dropping the line or like accidentally like not remembering what you're supposed to do next, because I just think it's more authentic than, the
Yes.
robotic way people do self-tapes these days, and it's like,
I know.
I want the human experience. I want you to like
Mhm.
drop your line halfway through, laugh it off, and say, "Can we start again?" Like, show me that
Right,
you're
right.
a good, actor in that sense too. Like,
Right, you can deal with crisis on
right.
set and in production. Yeah, for sure.
It's not like this just polished version of a self-tape that you've done, maybe for the last hour and sent in
Yeah.
the best take. Like, I just don't know. It's
I
so
know.
nice.
That human element is really, really something special. And the truth is, that's what we do. Like, when we go
Right.
on sets, you're not recording your thing in a little room alone and then
Mhm.
everybody sees it later. It's like, no, there's 150 people on set.
Yeah.
You're a big ice. I like to say we're a traveling circus, but other people.
I think that's solid.
Other people are normal. But
Yeah. I don't think either side of the screen is very normal, so it's okay.
Yeah, okay, it's perfect. Yeah, it's good.
It's true though, it's like I think when you book things off of self-tape, and I know I remember my manager, an old manager of mine, telling me this at one point, that like she had known people to actually lose jobs once they got on set because they had booked it as a self-tape, and it's like the people who hired them didn't know how they would be in person, didn't know their aura, didn't know, how they would handle themselves on set in like, certain situations.
Oh
and
my
so
goodness.
like, I know it happens. And for our entire industry to be like hinged on self-tapes now is just,
I know.
it's so bonkers. And I want to go back to 2019.
Yeah, we should go back. That'd be good if we could go back.
Let's go back. Well, let's talk a little bit about your current and new things going on. You're on like one of the biggest shows in America right now, called The Chosen, and I think probably like in the world.
It is. It's like an international sensation. We're all amazed. I think I just heard the stat. It was like there's 200 million people who have seen our show.
No, that's crazy.
That's incredible. Like, could it get any better? I don't know. So that's been a really, really fun ride. I started with them a couple years ago. I think my first episode aired like Christmas of last year. And everyone is so excited. We just did our premiere. That was like amazing. We all had an amazing time on the teal carpet, and it's such a unique show. It's just unique in the way they funded it. It's unique in the way they distribute it. It's unique in how they do their carpets. Like, everything is so different. And it's been a really beautiful journey for me personally to join that show. I remember, like, I ran into a friend of mine who was hiking, who had already been cast in it when it first happened. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that show sounds incredible. He's like, I don't know. We don't know where it's going to go. It's just this like low budget show coming out of Texas. Like, we're figuring it out. We're giving it a try. I don't know. Like, well, that's super exciting. And so then I sort of tried to target it and have been fortunate to be able to be on it. So yeah, I'm really excited. The season is going to come out. The entire season 4 is coming out in theaters. They're releasing on February 1st, February 15th, I think, and then February 29th. And that's all 8 episodes. And my character will be joining the storyline in the second release theatrically. So February 15th, you can look out for that. And I think they have the tickets are on sale internationally. So wow. Yeah, check your dates internationally. I think I gave you the American dates, but yes, very exciting times for sure.
It's absolutely wild to watch this journey of the show, because I remember like Sean posting about it a couple of years ago and being like, what is this thing you're on? And then I remember like literally last year, I think it was last April, I was on a flight to Nashville to see some friends, and I look over and it's Sharma's face in The Chosen, and these people are watching it next to me, and I'm like, what's going on with this show? Like, why is it everywhere all of a sudden? And it's wild to me that the creators and the producers and everybody involved in it have found a way to not only get a show on network television that has been produced independently, but then also release it in theaters. It's just... it kind of breaks all industry standards in that fashion, and it's wild to watch.
That's what I'm amazed by, is like this path. I feel like, yeah, it's just completely unique. Everything about it is so fun. It's just doing its own thing. So
it is. It's doing its own thing.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to watch it and catch up if they haven't, because it's a fantastic show.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
Well, normally I would ask you to share an audition story. Now, you've shared the Weeds one.
I did.
But do you have another one up your sleeve that you wanna hit the audience with?
Oh my gosh. I'm just thinking about there's a couple. Here's another one. This is another project that's actually coming up.
Okay.
And I remember I had been invited to travel internationally earlier this year, and I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to go to South Africa. This sounds so exciting. And I had some spiritual mentors that are out there that I was like, oh my gosh, this would be incredible. I'll get to meet them while I'm there. I have a colleague it's a family member who has a colleague who has like a safari there. And I was like, this is gonna be an incredible trip. Let's do this. Let's just do this. I can't
Take
wait.
me next time.
Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Please.
So then so I get to go, and it's of course a gorgeous country, and I have a wonderful time, and everyone there was so hospitable. All my friends who invited me and provided for me while I was there. It was a really special time. And I got this audition. It was like one of the first nights that we were there. And I was like, guys, I'm booked out. Like, I'm literally in a different country right now. Can we not do that? Like, I got stuff to do. What's going on here? And then, I just am, if it's a great story, or if it's, I don't know, it's hard for me to turn it down. And so I was like, all right, I'll just do this thing. Like, I was like, all right. So I asked my friend, who's not an actor, to help me shoot it. And of course, now he has to take time out of his day to help me shoot it. And so he does, and we have a great time shooting it. And it's like several takes, and I'm like coaching him what to do, because he's the reader and doesn't, he's never done this before, poor guy. And he really did a beautiful job, and I'm so grateful to him for putting up with the whole process, because I'm sure it was very annoying and not fun for him at all. And but he was supportive, and he was like, no, I think you should do it. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. So we did it together. We submitted the tape. I forgot about it. Then we went out. We had a great time. We were meeting up with his friends and other people, and just having a lovely evening and a lovely journey out there, and going on hikes and all kinds of wonderful things. And then I hear back. They're like, oh, hey, great. So, my agent's like, I'm trying to close the deal without you having to like do another tape or a Zoom audition or whatever. I was like, thank you so much. Just the logistics of that would be an absolute nightmare. So if we could figure this out, that'd be great. So they figured it out, and then they put in the offer, and they were like, great, you booked the job. You have to fly back a week early from your trip. And I was like, oh my goodness. I have all these appointments I've made while I'm here. Like, I've got to rearrange this whole schedule to get to the table read. And so I guess that's just a crazy story of like, sometimes you think like it's a hassle and it's a burden and it's a stress, but it could lead to such incredible things. Yeah. That job we shot last spring, and it's coming out this Easter for Easter. It's an Easter family film. It's called 47 Days with Jesus. And it's going to be my first film ever in theaters.
Oh my gosh.
So, like, I've been in theaters for smaller theatrical releases here and there, but this is, like, going to be released nationally. If it depends on the demand in each area. But it's like, imagine if I just was like, no, I'm on vacation. I'm not doing that audition.
So true.
What a miss that would have been. So, wow. This is pretty cool. I'm very excited about it. And, I think tickets are on sale for that on January 26th. And so that might have, depending on when this comes out, that might already have happened. I don't know.
I don't do math in public. I'm sorry.
Tickets are on sale now, either way. And and if your theater isn't hosting it, we're encouraging everybody to just call your local theater and let them know about the success of The Chosen, because 2 chosen leads are going to be in this movie as the leads. Wow. It's Yoshi Barrigas and myself. And super exciting, and that a little reunion, and then we're just encouraging people to let their theaters know, hey, we'd love to see this film. Aww. And we have a whole family cohort or a church cohort or whoever it is that can come and see it. And it's not limited to your belief system. We've had secular people watch the film and be very moved by the messaging of it. So It's not like for a certain audience. It's just for anybody, and it's a very beautiful family story.
I love that. It's one of the reasons why I love The Chosen as well. It's like,
yes,
I think anybody from any culture, religion can watch it and feel moved by it.
Right.
Like I don't think you have to identify yourself as a Christian to watch it, because it's just so moving.
Yes. I remember I watched the pilot, and I tell the actors this all the time, Elizabeth and Jonathan, like their performance in the very first episode made me sob. I was just in my living room, and every time I watched it, it's not like it was just like a one-time thing. It happens every time.
When Catherine needs a good cry, she puts on the pilot of The Chosen and lets it all out.
Episode 1. Here we go. Oh my god, I love that. That's a great story. It's the moral of the story is never take an opportunity for granted, right? Yes, absolutely.
And I think we can so easily, like in this industry where you're getting auditions all the time and you're like, oh, I don't want to do it right now, I'm so tired, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yes.
For me, it's mostly I'm so tired, but
always, because you do a lot. You're always doing so much. It's amazing.
It's why the coffee people need to sponsor me.
Gotta keep her adrenalized. Yeah. Let's go.
Truly. Well, before we go for the day, I'd love to talk to you a little bit about union service, because you and I both joined the LA board this past term. So that's been a fun experience, but I'd love to know what made you want to get into union service.
You know what? I remember in 2020, obviously, it's like the year that shall not be named.
Yeah, no, truly.
I was, when things got shut down, I had some time, and I finally was able to start paying attention to what the union was doing. And this is something I want every actor to understand. You hear this all the time, maybe, or maybe you've never heard it, but it's the same thing everywhere, really. Like you hear it in the church as well, but you are the union. Your job, life, career experience is the union.
Yep.
You're what makes us succeed or fail. If you guys don't get involved, we will not have a successful union. So what I learned in 2020 was I didn't understand anything about union politics, our legal system of how we accomplish things for SAG-AFTRA. And it was a big wake-up call, because very, very startling news reached me, which was that some of our seniors, I believe it was something like 8,000, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, got kicked off of our healthcare plan.
Yep.
And I think maybe the logical reason was, they can rely on Medicare because they're of a certain age. They don't need to be on the health plan. But you have now just affected their healthcare, their doctors. It's much harder to get proper care on the Medicare system. I also serve as a vice chair on our senior committee, and I have just learned so much listening to everyone's stories, what they've gone through, how they had to change plans or change doctors in the middle of oncology. Like, these are horrific stories that are so, so disruptive to their life and their livelihood and their health that it could affect their lives. So it was such a horrible story for me to hear how these people got treated. And some of these people are the reasons, they sacrificed their own residuals so that we would have a pension.
Right.
These people have sacrificed so much over such a long time for our union. And then to be turned around and treated like this was really, really horrific for me to hear. So I realized at that moment, I don't know who's in charge of all these things. I don't know who's making these decisions. I don't even know where to go to talk about this problem. I can't keep living the way I'm living, because who knows what decisions are being made behind closed doors at our union that no one has any awareness of, because we're all so busy acting. We're so busy on set. We're so busy doing our thing, and we're just trusting. Well, the people you're trusting are your fellow actors, and they need to know about your experiences in order to accomplish anything. And more than that, since our merger, SAG-AFTRA, we are also staff run. So we have to have good relationships with our staff so that we understand what do they need from us in order to achieve things that are important to us. How can we help them arrive at the same conclusions that we have arrived at from our eyewitness accounts of what's going on sets and in our residual pay, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, that was a big, beautiful time of learning. And I just decided, you know what? I got this email that was, I like signed up, whether or not I had been signed up for the emails, I got an email that was asking if I wanted to volunteer for committee service. And I was like, that's a great idea. That seems like a great way to just get involved, learn what's going on, see how I can help. And I signed up for, I thought it was like you sign up for as many as you want and then one will pick you. So I applied to like everything that interested me.
Oh dear.
I ended up getting selected for like 8 committees that year.
Oh God.
So it was like a crash course in union service.
Yeah, that is.
So many people. I learned from legends, like people who have been doing union service for decades or 7 years or 10 years, whatever it was. Like these people are a wealth of knowledge. They have sacrificed so much time and effort for our own betterment. And it has been a privilege and a gift to learn from everybody. So that was my crash intro into the union. And then obviously, you and I were slated to run for the board and as delegates. And it was, my first time running for anything. And I was like, wow, okay, well, here we go. We're on the ride now.
Let's do this.
Yeah, but it's been beautiful. And there are just so many mentors who are on our slate with us that have been so kind and helpful and just education, just have given us all an education, I think. And are just, the people you call when you're like, hey, I don't understand this. Can you help me understand this? And, how can I help? I saw you care a lot about this issue. How can I help you accomplish something with that? So it's been a beautiful experience. And it's also been a really eye-opening experience of learning, we are necessary to the success of our union. We have to participate in the system. If you have any professional experience at all, even auditioning, that is a professional experience, you should be getting involved in the union.
Yeah, you said it eloquently, and I'm going to say I agree. Listen to Catherine. It's true. It's just, I think a lot of people see the union as something they have to join and able to work as a professional actor rather than what it is, which is a union and something that's going to be there to protect you and that you need to be involved in so that you can better it and get what you need from it and get what your friends need from it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's quite the eye-opening experience, but I think I'm going to be stuck with it for a while.
I know. I'm like, you're like, oh God,
dang it, I love it.
So much work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
It's never going to end.
No, it's never going to end. And I unfortunately am a masochist and like it. So.
Well, we need people like you. So thank you for everything you do.
And you. And you.
Thank you so much.
Well, are there any last projects that you want to talk about before we go that are coming out soon?
Oh my goodness. Stay tuned for The Chosen 47 Days with Jesus. And I have my own music I'm always working on. So that's a joy to me. And I post things on Instagram and TikTok. So you can follow me there. I don't know.
Awesome. I love it. Well, lots to look forward to. It's going to be a great year. And I foresee all of us kicking 2024's ass. That's what I'm going to say.
Thank you. I love it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Thanks for coming on the show. It's been so fun.
Thanks, Jillian. Always a joy to see you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks again to Catherine for coming on the show and spending some time with me. Make sure to check out The Chosen and 47 Days with Jesus in theaters. You can see all those dates and showtimes and fun things over on her Instagram, Catherine Lidstone, or you can put it in Google search or Fandango. Do people use that still? Might as well try and see. Fandango, AMC, what do you do? I don't know. And you can also, check things out on our Instagram. We'll be posting about all of the fun things all of the lovely people that are on the show are doing. So check out our Instagram. You can also see some footage from this interview over there. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. As always, thanks for coming in.
The thing that I fought tooth and nail to bring my son into is Dungeons and Dragons. That is the ultimate solution to parenthood.
I'm Alexis Ohanian. In my podcast, Business Dad, I'm hoping to open up the conversation about balancing careers and family. I talked to Rainn Wilson. I wanted to learn more about Rainn's advice to play D&D with your kids. Business Dad is available now, so be sure to listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.